Anger, it burns like fire. For some, it's a constant simmer beneath the surface. For others, it's a sudden explosion that leaves destruction in its wake. But what if anger isn't the enemy? What if it's message waiting to be decoded? Welcome to the Mindset Channel, where ancient wisdom meets modern psychology. I am Crom.
And my name's Jonah.
Today, we unravel the nature of anger, why it controls us, and how it holds us back. And most importantly, how can we actually master it?
That's right, Crom. So importantly, with understanding anger, I read something the other day and it said that anger is a messenger, not a master. And that got me thinking. So anger is often very much misunderstood.
Yeah.
Okay, society labels anger as bad,
Yeah.
as something to suppress or to ignore. But anger at its core, and think about this, is neither good nor bad. Anger at its core is simply information. So the behavioral pattern that leads to anger, oddly enough, is very similar. It's almost the flip side of the same coin as anxiety. So some people go to flight, whereas other people go to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where anger pops up. But the key differences between the two behavioral patterns are as follows. There's two of them. So whereas anxiety tends to run a future orientation with a bit of a negative expectancy, anger runs a present orientation. It's all about right this moment.
Yes.
With no thought of any future consequence. The other factor is a sense of persecution or victimization.
That's it. Injustice.
A sense of injustice. So essentially imaginary thinking that presupposes people's actions are directed personally at you.
Yes.
But why do we develop issues with anger? It happens to everybody, right?
Yeah. By the way, even the masters of the ancient world were angered.
Let's be honest, it absolutely happens to all of us. All right.
Yes, correct.
Most anger issues don't begin in the moment. So anger issues began in the past.
So we're no longer talking about anger anymore. We're not moving into the anger issues.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay, got it.
Exactly right. So look, many of us are carrying unprocessed emotions from our childhood.
What's an unprocessed emotion?
Well, by what their expectation of how they expect to be perceived by other people don't deal with emotions.
Yeah.
And emotions don't just go away.
Yeah.
All right. They sort of percolate. So, like I say, a lot of us carrying unprocessed emotions from childhood or from a sense of victimization or sorrow from a past relationship or some unresolved trauma of some sort.
So
right?
unprocessed emotion are emotions. Firstly, I just want to scroll back. For me anyway, and from what I've read a lot about, emotions is the way your unconscious mind or your spirit speaks to you consciously, because it can't talk, can it?
Yeah, it's a way to look at it.
Yeah. So those emotions are very primitive. I mean, and have you seen an angry dog? Anger is still there, right? So before we even develop these prefrontal cortex that we have in our heads, we already have these communication pathways from the unconscious to the conscious mind, right?
Yeah. It's interesting you brought up a dog. Actually, it reminded me of something that happened years ago. I was in the Philippines and I had a dog, and lovely dog.
Yeah.
But I had a friend of mine over and we were doing some boxing. We were in the backyard and we just had the gloves on and the whole thing, just some working out sort of thing. My dog didn't like it at all.
That you're getting smashed?
Yeah. So he simply thought I was being attacked.
Yes.
Right. And so this guy that was a very close friend of mine, the dog eventually just immediately developed him as a trigger. And it took about a year of that guy coming over to our place before the dog actually changed his mind and thought, okay, he's okay. But what happens with anger, and we'll get to this a bit later, certain instances in your life kind of set themselves in stone and they become triggers for you.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very primitive thing.
Very primitive indeed.
Yeah. But with unprocessed emotions, so
Yes.
what it boils down to is like, were you ever taught that, expressing emotions was weak,
Yeah.
right? Did you grow up in an environment where anger was either explosive
Mm.
or completely suppressed? It was one or the other.
Yeah. I mean, the Victorians, the English, the Germans, they suppress their emotions.
Yeah,
In
absolutely.
in Catholic Philippines, where I grew up, emotions are almost entertaining, right?
They can be. They can
Yeah,
be. I
so
can see that.
that's the latest gossip, but it's not encouraged in a way that it's actually resourceful. Rather, either suppress it, you're possessed by the devil, or oh, this is entertaining. Give me some popcorn.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
I've witnessed this phenomenon.
Yeah, yeah. Let me get this right. So these unprocessed emotions are emotions that got presented to us at that time, and we ignored them. Is that right?
Yeah, we'd ignore them, didn't know how to deal with them, didn't know how to let them go. And it can be, for someone who's been repeatedly betrayed or overlooked or unheard,
Mm,
repeatedly, there's a certain emotion that comes with that needs to be dealt with. So the point being that unprocessed emotions
yeah.
don't disappear.
Mm,
They resurface as triggers, just like it did with my dog.
yeah.
All right. And when anger becomes a habitual response, it's not about the present moment anymore. It's about everything that came before that.
Yeah. And I think that's dangerous when the go-to emotion is anger.
And that's the thing. That's an important point, actually. I'm glad you brought that up because anger is a natural emotion.
Mm,
Sometimes being angry is absolutely the appropriate response.
mm,
When it's a problem is when anger becomes your response to everything.
mm.
That's where it becomes a real issue. And anger itself, look, has essentially two faces as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't all look the same. Some people carry it like a constant weight that's holding them down but don't get explosive.
Yeah.
Others just explode when provoked.
Yeah. And some people carry it with them like a badge of honor.
Yeah, yeah, they do. And some people even identify themselves by their anger.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring up martial arts again, right? So one of the things that one needs to do if they're doing martial arts, it could be as simple as boxing, for example, is not get angered. And so what do? Is you trigger the other side into anger, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so you trigger them. And one of the most common things that I hear when somebody is just starting out in martial arts or they've never done any martial arts, it's like they're so special that they said, "Oh, I don't need to train martial arts because I have rage. When I'm at rage, or nothing can hold me back."
That's the misnomer about rage, right? It
Yeah,
doesn't actually help.
it doesn't help. And guess what? As a fighter, as a martial artist, as a boxer, aikido, whatever, and all the things I've done, anger is a gift from God.
Yeah.
Well, not from God. Sorry, God, but you know what I mean? When there's a bout, I was like, oh, triggered anger. All right, he is out of control now. Now I'm in control. Now I'm,
Right.
yeah. Now you can play with someone.
And look, it's the same thing. I've played a lot of rugby over the years.
Yeah,
And it's the same thing with rugby. Rugby's about controlled aggression. It's not
that's
about
it.
anger.
Aggression is different from anger, by the way. That's
Exactly.
completely
But
different.
but one of the things that you do in rugby, if you can get under your opponent's skin a bit
Mm,
and get them angry, get them out of controlled aggression to anger,
yeah.
you're very much on top.
We also did that
Yeah.
in basketball. You should talk someone, right? Until they just keep on fouling you until they're out of the game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So some people carry it like a constant weight, and like you said, others explode when provoked. So chronic anger, the slow burn, this is the anger that never truly fades.
Right.
I just want to share with you guys, you guys watching this video or listening, There are about 4 stages of the same feeling of aggression, right?
Mm.
So the most top level of that, right, which is, so let's call this emotion aggression, right? But like everything else in the unconscious mind, the unconscious mind wants to label itself so it can understand itself. So that's what we're doing here, right?
Yeah.
So the top level is disgust.
Right.
Disgust, like ugh. That feeling where you flare your nostril, like you smelled something bad. That's
Yeah.
that's that's on the same, like ugh. And you can see that on people when they're disgust, or when they hear something they don't like, they go ugh. That's when
Yeah.
people roll their eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go ugh. Okay, that's the start. Yeah, go deeper into that, a bit more energy in that one, and then you have annoyance. Yeah,
Right.
same path, right? And the third level in that one is anger. You're angry. Yeah.
Right.
And the next level on that one is rage,
Which is just extreme anger.
extreme anger. So the ability to control yourself depreciates as you go from disgust to annoyance to anger to rage.
Right.
And anger over time is resentment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you were saying about the slow burn anger never truly fades. Can you explain this as a definition of resentment?
Sorry, a definition of
Oh,
resentment?
as in you said that the anger that is chronic, that never really fades, is resentment or bitterness.
Yeah, it is. It's resentment, it's bitterness, it's like this low grade irritation, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Now, but people with that sort of that chronic anger, they're just a bit angry all the time.
yeah.
And it's based on resentment of the past, bitterness on how they were treated by someone, but then they label everyone with the same brand.
Mm,
Right, it's that low level irritation. And people carrying chronic anger generally have really high stress levels.
yeah.
They have trouble relaxing and they struggle with their past. A lot of
Um,
people that has got high stress levels are actually just a bit angry.
yeah, they're a bit cranky. If you want to find out um like scenarios like this or environments like this, just go to a restaurant and go to the kitchen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
One of the most dangerous places in the world is a high stress, high standard kitchen because it's full of angry men with knives.
right. And
Yeah,
and flame.
and flame. So, and I'm not kidding when I actually mean this, right? Because you have now the three factors there. Men, uh, which means a lot of testosterone, right? You got iron, which is knives, like in the back of the man, I want to chop something or
Yeah,
stab something. And they're cutting things, right? And
yeah,
there's fire. So those three, right? Those three, you can find them in a battlefield. Bunch of
yeah.
men.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, yeah, you can find them in a battlefield. They're under stressed. There's a bunch of men cutting each other up, right? And there's a lot of fire. So that
Yeah,
is the recipe for for that situation. Anger is there's an underlying emotion in that, which is, I think, we already mentioned it. One is injustice. So if you fuel injustice with fire, as in seriously, just go to a hot room. And
yeah,
it's a literal energy, right? That's why in cartoons we label people angry as red,
yeah.
right?
Exactly right. Exactly
Yeah.
right.
You
And that reflects the color people go when they're angry. That
That's it. They go
enormous
red. They
increase
go
in blood
red.
pressure.
That's it. That's it. The key is, seriously, the key is label your emotion. It's like when we were talking earlier on that we said that people, their go-to emotion is anger. All
Yeah.
right. What if they just got annoyed because their shoelaces was undone? Right. It could be just
Yeah.
like, ah, and then saying, oh, instead of swearing at your shoe, right? You just go, you just, oh man, okay, wait, give me a second. Boom. I'm just it's annoyance,
Yeah.
right? It's just or when somebody says something wrong, it's like, oh, that's disgusting, and then walk away,
Yeah.
right? If you know those, that's the case. So explosive anger. Jonah,
Yeah.
what is this?
So
Why is this happening?
So explosive anger is a different thing. We call that, for the want of a better way to put it, the sudden storm.
Mm,
Now this anger is different. It builds up like the pressure in a volcano and then just erupts unexpectedly and quite often inconsistently.
yeah, right.
Right? It often surprises the person experiencing it as much as it surprises the person witnessing it, right? And it damages relationships, it damages career, it damages self-esteem. But the common thread is both types of anger come from unresolved emotions that have led to habitual responses.
What we mean by habitual responses is, when no one is taking you seriously, for example, and you lost your shit, right? And then they took you seriously. You now have an example, an experience that, whoa, what if I get angry all the time? Would I get the same experience? That means people are now responding to me in haste, and also they're actually respecting me better, right?
And
So,
that's how it reinforces itself.
and it reinforces itself. One of the best quotes I've heard, I can't remember which king said this, but the king said, "Let them, um, let them hate us as long as they fear us." Right?
Right.
And that fear is, it's like, oh, I'm going to scare everyone. Everyone's afraid of me. They'll respect me. And how should I do this? Well, you can't look like a monster. Angry people do look like a monster, by the way.
Right.
And so they go, oh, know what? I'll just be snappy. They don't know when I'm going to start hitting. And I love the way a colloquial term that we use for anger is someone's getting mad. English is my third language. When I was learning English, I was learning this word anger. I was like, oh, gotcha. That's right. Oh, and also another word for anger is going mad. Immediately I ask, are they going crazy?
Right.
Because when we're angry, all the blood goes to where? To the middle brain, isn't it now?
Right. Exactly right.
Yeah. And the prefrontal cortex, of which a human being becomes intelligent in comparison to other animals in the animal kingdom, right? The energy is no longer there. It now goes to the mid, to the middle, to
That's
the
right. The
mammalian brain.
cortex that's usually running the show with a
Correct.
sense of logic
Well,
and decency is out
ideally,
of the loop.
that's where you're running from, right? Ideally, that's where we're running from. But majority of humanity, I believe, from observation and studies, is we're running on the middle brain and the mammalian brain, and we're using the cortex to justify our mammalian instincts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
So
good point too.
yeah, so move the energy to reason, move the energy to being intelligent about it, right? So you were saying about, oh, someone's mad, that means they're angry, and their rights are being lobotomized, right? You're no longer thinking. Yeah, you've gone mad, right?
Yeah,
And who wants to hang around a mad person,
exactly right.
right? So anyway, going back to the anger loop you were saying.
Yeah. So how is it that we get stuck in anger?
Yeah.
You
How?
ever notice that anger tends to feed anger?
Yes.
The more we indulge in it, the more it becomes our default response, right? And that's
Yeah.
the anger loop. And there's essentially six parts to this anger loop,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Firstly, there's a trigger.
Yeah.
So something external provokes an emotional response.
Did you hear that, guys? Like starting a fire, you need to spark it. You need a trigger.
Exactly right. Exactly
Yeah.
right. And that spark, that emotional response,
Yeah.
leads to a reaction. So the brain reacts. The limbic system, essentially, your amygdala,
Yeah.
reacts before logic has time to intervene.
Mm.
All right, you get a big rush of essentially adrenaline and stress hormones, and we'll go through that in a little while.
And by
And
the way,
that leads,
logic can reinforce, you can use logic to reinforce your anger.
yeah, logic and reason's out the window at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay, and that leads to reinforcement. So acting out the anger temporarily feels good, as you were
Mhm.
saying a few moments ago, which reinforces the habit.
Yeah.
And then after that, regret and guilt sink in,
Hmm.
and that leads to someone being self-critical and developing some unconscious beliefs like, I always get angry, I have
Mm.
a temper,
Yeah.
I can't control it. And once those beliefs about oneself are ingrained, then step 6, the cycle just continues to repeat.
Mm. Yeah.
All right. So why does anger hold us back? What's wrong with all that?
Yeah.
All right. So there's a few really good reasons. So living in a state of constant anger, with frequent outbursts, it's going to damage your relationships.
Yeah.
People are not going to tell you the truth. They're going to walk on eggshells around you.
Yeah.
You're not going to get meaningful feedback from people.
Yeah.
They just prefer to, let's just let him do his thing and be done with it.
Yeah. Also, no one takes an angry person seriously. Contrary to what that initial response was like, oh, people respect me because I got mad at them. Now they're afraid of me. They must respect me, right? Fear is a different kettle of fish, right? Respect is another. And when one is always losing their shit, to be honest, they're just like, oh man, that person's acting like a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, right, exactly right. Yeah, how often have you heard someone say, "Oh, yeah, the conversation didn't go too well. He threw his toys out of the pram."
That's it. So yeah, like you were saying, uncontrolled anger makes one, if you're listening, you appear volatile, right? And it sabotages the opportunities. And reactivity leads to regretful decisions, such as a hole in the wall, right? Or a broken phone.
Yeah, or a
Yeah.
damaged relationship.
Damaged relationship, that's it. But when that goes to that level, that's pretty much it. Like, okay, walk away. Yeah.
Yeah, that can be explosive anger can be one of those final sort of nails in a relationship coffin, right? And
Yeah.
importantly, like your anger destroys your inner peace.
Yes.
And
Yes.
this is the important thing.
Mm.
Anger hijacks your nervous system. It keeps you in a perpetual state of fight or flight.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really where you don't want to be.
Yeah.
But perhaps the most dangerous aspect of anger
Yeah.
beyond that is that it keeps you stuck in the past.
That's it.
Every time we react with anger, we're reliving an old wound. You're almost saying, look what they did to me.
Also, the old wound from the past is now being projected in the future and the present,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
That's not helpful at all. Right. We're not saying anger is bad, right? You need anger, right? But when it becomes like this, it's no longer useful.
Exactly right. When it's
Yeah.
your go-to response, it's no
Mm.
longer it's no longer useful. It's holding you back.
Yeah. Angry people are easily manipulated. In marketing, we use it. When in politics, we use it, right? Yes, I'm a marketer. That's what I do for a living. There's a new type of marketing, John, and
What's that?
it's very, very new. Yeah, it's never been coined before, but it's been
Go on.
coined in the last 2 years. It's called angertainment.
Angertainment. Well, I dare say that unfortunately, a lot of the world's politics at the moment market themselves with angertainment.
That's it. And people, okay, the people that thrive on anger as a go-to emotion because it's addictive, right? They're addicted to this emotion because they get, I mean, we're going to be talking about the science of anger, right? But they're addicted to it. So the chemicals in their brains that we're going to be talking about in a minute, the brain is addicted to these chemicals that they make themselves, right? So they will literally go to the news. Normally that's the place, or a podcast or a medium, right? Or listen to talkback radio and listen to things that will piss them off.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. And even your in social media, they worked out a while ago that if you would look at something that keeps you, just mildly entertained or makes you happy, you'll stay scrolling for X amount of time.
Yeah.
They find that if they can do something that makes you angry or shocked,
Yeah.
people tend to stay online a lot longer.
That's it. Totally agree.
It's the dangers of doom scrolling, everybody.
Yeah, that's right. In marketing, let me add to that, because it's fire. So anger is the element of fire. That's why I mentioned those previous things, right? So when you want to make make someone do something, you need to put energy into it, right? And the easiest or the quickest one is fire, right?
Yeah.
You can make someone do something out of anger because they will not think, right? So all you need to do is control the conversation, control the narrative, right? The most classic one is politics. I think it was from the Nuremberg trials when the Nazis were getting tried for their crimes against humanity, right?
Damn straight.
Yeah. You know what? I forgot his name. He was the head of the Luftwaffe.
Goering?
Goering. That's it. Goering.
Yeah.
So Goering said this, and I'm summarizing it. This is not verbatim. So what he said is the farmer doesn't really care about the problems of the country, right? The farmer doesn't care. But if you tell the farmer that a group of people is taking his land and the government is doing nothing about it every single day, you can get them to bear arms.
Yeah, exactly right.
And that's the formula, right? So you have a political enemy, so you have a competitor, right? And they said, hey, those guys will come in here and take your land or take you or take your like something of yours, right?
Yeah.
Or replace you. And the government is doing nothing about it. So that is the formula for angertainment. In Australia, we had Tony Abbott to do that, right? We had the stop the boats kind of thing. They're coming here in droves. They're taking your jobs. It triggers people. A few episodes ago, I introduced a word that's called affrontedness.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. So guys, if you just first time you've seen this channel and haven't seen that video, affrontedness is the feeling you get, or not you, hopefully never you, is the feeling of two armies facing each other in battle with their lances and their spears and their swords and their shield. They're shitting themselves. They're about to butcher each other. And that's that feeling. It's called affrontedness. That was carried on from the tribal days when we're hunters and gatherers, and from our ancient ancestors as well, the apes. Or if you don't believe in the ape theory, right? We'll just stick to the ancestors when another tribe comes in and takes over. So that's affrontedness. You're affronted with a situation. So that's that feeling. So when people are easily angered, right? They're easily affronted, right?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Okay, let's now go to the science of anger, Jonah.
Yeah, let's have a look at the signs here. So, look, the signs of anger,
Yeah,
high cortisol
damn.
and the stress response. So,
Mm,
and I always say this, around anxiety as well. Anger isn't just a mindset problem, it's a biological problem, it's a physical problem. So, every time you get angry, your body floods with cortisol. That's your stress hormone. Every time you flood with it.
mm,
Now, here's the thing, chronically high cortisol levels, okay, and by chronically high, we're talking about sustained high levels of cortisol. So, chronically high cortisol level are linked to high blood pressure, heart disease, anxiety, and a weakened immune system.
mm.
So, long term anger literally rewires your brain. So, each time you get angry, it makes it easier to get angry again and again moving into the future.
Mm.
So, in short, anger, it's making you sicker,
Yeah,
it's making you weaker,
yeah.
and it's making you less in control.
It's the beast you don't want to feed.
Yeah,
The path to
yeah,
mastery, guys, is this. Find how to break free from this. Guys, you don't have to be a prisoner of your anger. And here is how to transform it. Jono, get started with number one here, mate.
yeah, sure. So, number one, and as always here on the Mindset channel, we're offering up simple, practical strategies to make positive mindset change. So, we're going to go through a few here actually.
Yeah,
So, number one, keep a journal for 1 week and track every time you get angry.
yeah,
So, ask yourself, what triggered it?
yeah.
Or what belief did I attach it to? And as you do that, patterns will emerge, showing you that your anger is often not about the present moment.
Yeah.
Again, it's based on your past experience and the habit of anger you've likely fallen into based on that.
The next one in one of the techniques is the 6-second rule. When anger hits, I know this is gonna sound, it's even gonna be trigger some people already just by saying this. It's gonna be, I can hear already people going, don't say this to me. How dare you, right? Breathe.
Right.
Seriously,
Breathe. The
just
power of breathing. I
breathe.
talk about this with people all the time.
Breathe, right?
Breathe.
Breathe, right? Snuff out that fire. Yeah?
Yeah.
Do it 6 times. Like pretending you're snuffing out a candle 6 times. Yeah? Do
Exactly
that
right.
and it works. You just do that. Seriously. Yeah? Take a deep breath. And if somebody says to you, take a deep breath, do not get triggered.
Right.
And how do you not get triggered by somebody saying, take a deep breath? By taking a deep breath and not thinking about how dare that person tell me to take a deep breath. No,
Exactly right.
instead of putting it in your mind and feeding that cycle.
Yeah, I do a lot of breath work with my clients in general, and there are a load of different breathing techniques out there that
Yeah,
directly target your levels of adrenaline and cortisol and reduce them.
yeah, that's the thing about the cortisol chemicals that we have in the body. With each breath, it gets regulated. And
Yep.
name the emotion without attachment. And I'll give you the four emotions again. Ask yourself this: is this disgust? Is this just annoyance? Is this actually real anger? Or is this rage?
Yeah.
Right? Ideally, you don't want to go to the rage side because it's no longer human, really. It's an animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anger is fine. And later on, I will also add a bit more what the ancient masters and what ancient wisdom said about anger. But start again, name the emotion without attaching to it, right? How do you do that? You're probably asking, right? I'll give you an example, right? My daughter will tell me stories about someone at school, right? And I will feel the emotion, right? But I didn't attach that emotion to me because it's my kid's friend's story. It's not even mine.
Right.
Same with the news when you watch the news, right? When somebody goes, oh, apparently someone in Adelaide got attacked. How dare them? Yeah, how dare them? Let's rise up. No, that's not you. That's someone in Adelaide.
That was someone in Adelaide, right?
Yeah. And you don't even, do you know that person at all? I would even dare you. Okay, what's the name of that person from Adelaide? You probably can't name them.
Right, right.
So why would you carry that? It's not yours. It's not your fire, right? And that's how you not attach yourself with an emotion because it's not yours. And this short circuits and interrupts the cycle before it controls you. The third one, Anjana?
Yeah. So third one here is just reframing the narrative. All right.
Yes, yes, yes.
So anger is often just a defensive mechanism. In fact, most of the time, it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah,
For deeper emotions like hurt or insecurity, very common, or fear.
yeah.
So ask yourself in that moment, am I actually angry or am I just feeling unheard?
Mm,
Right? Is my anger protecting me from something I don't want to feel? Anger can very often simply be an act of avoidance. There
yeah.
can be hurt, there can be sorrow, there can be something else that a person's simply not willing to deal with or
Mhm.
not able to deal with. So they go to anger instead.
That's it. You know how many times I've heard stories, especially ladies, you're very guilty of this. I heard this from,
Careful, bro.
from
Careful.
yeah, lady, because it's ladies usually do this rather than men. That is starting a fight to get out of a bad situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you feel if you feel guilty what you did something but you don't want to feel it like, oh man, that was my fault, and then you pick a fight and you'll pull a memory from 15 years ago what he did, right?
Yeah.
And now it becomes a fight, and it's
Right.
almost like a get out of jail kind of card of, oh, if I pick a fight, I'm out of there, cool. But now you just jump from the frying pan to the fire, right?
Right.
So yeah, please don't do that or
Exactly
avoid that
right.
as much as you can.
Exactly right. Exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
The next part there is, what is the real emotion
yeah.
beneath this reaction? Once you identify that perhaps it's not anger itself, what's the emotion that's driving it? And the moment you reframe anger as a signal
Yeah,
instead of a reaction, you take back control. I want to say that again. The moment you reframe anger as a signal instead of a reaction, you take back control. Just work out, what is it signaling? What is that emotion that it's actually covering up for?
that's it. And guys, we're not very good with emotions. I know. When we're losing it, we say, "Oh, I got emotional," right? Like it's a really bad thing to do,
Right.
right? So, guys, I'm guilty of this, especially in the past. I was guilty of it a lot. When there was sadness, right? I felt sadness, especially on when the relationship is ending or something, and that creeping in of sadness is coming in. I was trying to replace that with anger because I thought I can control that sadness better, right?
Yeah, really common thing. It's not just you, really common thing.
Yeah. So just to reinforce what John I said, identify the correct emotion, which is sadness, and work on that.
Yeah,
And don't overlap it with anger.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So
Um,
why don't you take number four, mate?
I'll take number four, mate. So the physical release of anger gets stored in the body. Okay, so release it. Run, boxing, running, lifting weights. That would do it. You know, when people say use your anger, yeah, okay, that's the right place to do it. Yeah, okay, cool. Seriously, Yeah. So because you're on a flight or sorry, on a the three F's of the parasympathetic system, fight, freeze, or flight, right?
Yeah.
So instead of fight, well, you got angry. What are you gonna do? Fight a tree? Obviously no. So the other side is okay. You can now train your body to get fit, right? Okay, you didn't achieve, let's say, a let's say you're going for promotion, right? Work on yourself harder. Use that fire. Don't get angry, get even, right? So yeah, that's also a martial arts term, by the way. So when
Yeah.
somebody gets punched in the face and they get mad, like, "Arr!" You're gonna get another punch in the face.
Right.
Yeah, because being vocalized or being angry does not help. You're gonna get punched again and again and again and again. So you need to hold back and work on your form. That's why you can't
Right.
get angry. Yeah.
Point that you were making there as well, just regarding, exercise.
Yes.
Okay, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I teach people in my clinic all the time. And this goes, like I say, anger is the flip side. It's the other side of the coin of anxiety. Okay, it's fight instead of flight, essentially what it is. One of the things I always teach people is get out and start getting some proper exercise.
That's it.
You need to physically start to get some of this stuff out of your system and physically regulate yourself.
Yeah. So I just want to add on to that. Yes, I'm looking at you young men. I too was a young man, right? And part of our DNA.
It was a while ago.
I was a while ago, a few decades ago, right? But I too was a young man, and maybe I would say from age 10, even younger, up to your late 20s, right? That's the most aggressive age group. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, look at the army. Yeah. The people that go and attack are called infantry. You know why? Because they're the young ones, the infantes, the infants.
Boom, I'd never even thought of that.
Yeah. Because the older one, the most veteran ones, the seniors, have been there. They're no longer as young. Yeah. That's why you send the young, the infantry, infantes. Yeah. So the aggression is really strongest. It's also in line with testosterone. The more testosterone you got, the more aggression you get, right? Now, I want to add this as an idea, right? Be an initiated warrior. What the hell do I mean by that? Don't be just a fighter, a scrapper in the streets. No. What are we going to do about that? You're going to lose teeth, right? Go enjoy and do martials, do BJJ, do boxing, do Aikido, do judo, do karate, right? Kung
Yeah.
fu, right? So now you're not only now just doing aggressive stuff. Yes, it's martial arts. Martial means Mars, which is war. Yeah. So and it's an art. So your aggression becomes art. It will teach you how to move.
Right.
You know all those stuff that you saw there, the cortisol and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's another thing that will join those chemicals, and that is dopamine. You will enjoy the stress level, which is crazy, right?
And that speaks very much to cortisol addiction, and that's a very,
Correct.
very real thing.
Yes, correct. You'll start enjoying the aggression that you have. But guess what? It's no longer a roaring fire. It will be a lighter that can start a fire, right?
Right.
It's now a heater that can be controlled, right? It's no longer imprisoning you. It's now just a tool that you can use.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and if your anger is part of your team rather than the boss, your team is formidable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do martial arts. And the more you fight, trust me in this one, the more you fight, the more you do martial arts, the less you will fight in the real world.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the big misunderstanding people have, right?
Yes, correct. People go, oh, you must be a boxer. You love fighting. Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah. But would you fight
Yeah.
that?
In the right
But
environment, sure. Not
yeah,
on the street.
yeah. We don't ask what we call, I call them the initiated warrior, which means, okay, you're now white belt, you got initiated. All right. Okay, you're now to the next level and to the next level and to the next level. And I think this contributes to the problem with young men at the moment, because we have literally forgotten the young man. And I'm not Andrew Tate or those guys in the manosphere. I disagree with they're trying to say alpha male, way to go. No, no. If you look at history, the humans are the only animals in the animal kingdom where the beta males overthrew the alpha male.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we are so functional, because we're no longer just bullied by one guy. We usually just give
Right.
up.
Right.
Yeah. Chimps has it, gorillas have it, wolves have it. There's always an alpha male that gets everything, not humanity. The beta males will band together and destroy the alpha male. It happens again
That's
and
it.
again
It's
and
the power
again.
of working together, right?
That's it. That's what makes us unique. And and
Right.
but and that's why the rite of passage, our ancestors had this. We lost this in the 20th century, especially post World War II, right? Where there's no longer a rite of passage for a boy becoming a man, right? And part of that is going through the arts of being a warrior, right? And as in, there's no longer, it's frowned upon. Oh, you're aggressive, you do martial arts. Oh my God, you're aggressive, you do boxing. Yeah, I don't want to do that, right? No, no, you need to, because it's in the DNA. Aggression is in the
Right.
DNA. People say that we bred the Neanderthals out, you know. I disagree with that, right? Maybe there's some truth in that, because they found Neanderthal blood with Europeans as well, mixed in. So the assumption is, oh, we bred them out. Yeah, maybe that's true, that one, but we're forgetting one really very obvious factor. Us Homo sapiens are very good with warfare.
Mm.
Very good, very good. I think we just kicked their ass and we got rid of them.
It's interesting. It's interesting actually with the one total side point here, but
Yeah.
the one feature that is critical that keeps us alive that we've inherited from the interbreeding with Neanderthals. If anyone wants to take a guess what it is,
What's that?
our
Uh,
immune system.
our immune system.
Our immune
Wow.
system. Our immune system comes from our Neanderthal heritage.
Wow. I
Yeah, a lot
mean,
of total side point. A lot of people don't know
that's
that.
that's interesting. That's really interesting, because we think that we overthrew, or we just out
We're bred
evolved
out is the
everybody.
general
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
There's the interbreeding theory that,
There was a lot more
yeah,
interbreeding
yeah,
between
there was a lot more. Yeah,
Homo
yeah.
sapiens and Neanderthals.
I mean, I probably have Neanderthal DNA with me, because I got Spanish ancestors and European
Everybody
ancestors.
does.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, but one thing is for sure is we're very good at warfare. We're very good at warfare.
Right.
Just look at the history. Look at history. It's
Yeah.
everywhere. It's there. Yeah, great. We got DNA as proof. No, no, we got more proofs. We got bows and arrows and clubs.
Yeah.
We don't need DNA for that. So because of that, there's a rite of passage from boy to men, right? So if you join a martial arts, I was blessed to do that. I was a white belt and I became a yellow belt, and all this controlled aggression, right? And that's what I call the initiated warrior.
Right.
And to me, guys, whoever's listening, if you're a young man, get off the couch, or if you're not on the couch, you're in the park, try martial arts, yeah, and learn something. And that fire inside you, don't let it roar. Turn it into a very beautiful forged sword,
There you
right?
go. There you
Yeah.
go. Love it.
When it's out of your system, It's healthy, isn't it, Jono?
Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. It's yeah, but it's certainly better out than in. Number five here,
Yeah.
technique to help get rid of your anger issue. Create a new pattern,
Yes.
right? The brain thrives on repetition.
That's it.
Replace the old anger pattern with a new response. So when triggered, repeat to yourself, I have a choice,
Yeah.
or simply walk away. Take a breath, journal your reaction instead of actually doing the reaction.
Yeah.
And the more you practice conscious control, the weaker the old habit becomes. And you hear me say that a lot in what I do as a hypnotherapist. It's all about retraining those unconscious patterns. And you retrain unconscious patterns with conscious repetition.
In martial arts, if when you're getting angry, sensei will just go, breathe, 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 breathe. Calm down, calm down. And
Yeah,
it will ask you to sit down and do seiza and breathe. So that's the habit. That's the habit. Again and again and again and again until when you're feeling it, you just go, it's gone. I want to add two more things, but this is a big deal, right? Make peace with the past.
it's a huge deal.
Yeah. You need to forgive. Forgive, give it away.
And importantly with that
Yeah.
too, like forgiveness doesn't mean excusing someone.
Yes, of course.
It's just letting it go.
Letting it go. And another thing that I want to share with you, and it's ancient. It's 2000 years old, right? If you must get angry, right? If you must get angry after doing all these techniques, do it with love and not with hate. And you're probably going, how do you do that? Right? If you got mad on your kid, on your kid because he didn't do something, it's not injustice. It's just a kid being a kid. Are you gonna, you know, invoke hell and punish the kid with every single disgusting thing that you can imagine? Oh, I hope not. And that's what I mean by anger with hatred.
Mm,
When you get angry, yeah, give yourself a 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, if you must, 1 minute, and then let it go. And this is really important, what I'm about to say. If you're gonna get angry, don't do it hate, because hate will lead you to cruelty.
right.
And anger and cruelty is horrible. Let's focus on love. If you're gonna get angry, if you must get angry, do it out of love. And that is, how can this anger improve the relationship of your loved ones with you? Ask yourself that. Obviously, that's not an easy answer, but you got to ask yourself, how can I get angry with love? Because
Right.
the crux of anger is injustice, remember? Was it really injustice that you felt? Was it really? Maybe it's just disgust. Maybe it's just annoyance. If your kid asks you, for example, Dad, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Don't pull over in the middle of a highway and lose
Yeah.
your shit, right? That's annoying. It's not rage. And then look at your kid with love. Obviously, you're angry and go, sweetie, we're almost there, right? And that's how you do it.
Right.
Get angry with love. Do not get angry with hate.
Love it.
And Jonah, that's any final words for this?
Yeah. Look, and obviously, importantly, make peace with your past.
Yeah.
Anger comes from old wounds. Letting go of resentment frees up mental energy for growth, for clarity, for peace. All right. So look, anger, it's a fire that burns hot. It's a force that can be unstoppable. And let's be clear, anger is not the enemy. It's a natural response. It's a signal that something inside us demands attention. It's a messenger. Now, in moments of injustice, anger can even be the fuel that drives change.
Yeah.
But left unchecked, held onto for too long, anger stops serving you and it will start to consume you. So carrying anger, it's like drinking poison and hoping someone else feels the effects.
Yeah.
It seeps into your body. It tightens your chest. It raises your blood pressure. It wears down your mind. It isolates you from people you love, clouds your judgment, and slowly builds a prison where you are both the captive and the jailer. But here's the truth. Anger's not who you are. It is just a pattern. It's a learned response. And if you created that pattern, and I say this to people all the time, if you created that pattern, you can alter it. Now imagine for a moment just loosening your grip on anger. Not suppressing it, not denying it, but transforming it. Turning frustration into clarity, turning rage into resolve. Imagine channeling that energy into something that serves you, growth, strength, purpose. Your past does not define your future. The pattern that brought you here is not the pattern that must guide you forward. You have the power to interrupt it, to pause, breathe, and choose another way.
Yep.
So as you step away from this moment, know this. You are not controlled by your emotions. You are the one who gives them direction. Choose wisely, choose powerfully, and choose to move forward towards the life you want. Now, the next time anger arises, ask yourself, will this fuel my growth or will this chain me to my past?
Yeah.
And the answer is yours to decide. Now, everyone, I believe in you. Go and make that choice. And that's about us for anger today.
If you find this video useful, please subscribe and click on that beautiful bell button, that icon over there, so you can see our future videos that we will launch. And thank you again very much for being here. Once again, this is Crom.
And this is Jonah. Bye-bye.